where every week I have a conversation with a prominent Black cannabis executive that I feel like is representing our culture the right way, and more importantly, creating inroads for more of us to come into the space and find success. So today with me, I have Mrs. Q Nicole McNair of WH Farms, and I'm excited to have a conversation with you for a few reasons. For one, you're a Black woman in the space, which we don't see enough of, and two, you operate in an area that isn't really synonymous with our industry yet, but the opportunity is still there. So it is a honor and a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Of course. So before we jump into, the cannabis ins and out, I would love to get an idea of your professional backstory before you jumped into this space.
Great. I actually have about 20 years of real estate, commercial real estate experience, real estate investing experience. I started my career in commercial real estate development, working with large scale developers in Washington, D.C., which is where I started my professional journey. And for over almost 2 decades, I oversaw the development of mixed use construction projects, condominiums, grocery stores, large banks. So I was a part of that, the uprising of the condominium development in the Washington, D.C. market. And then I transitioned out of full-time commercial real estate into full-time real estate investing, where I was a fix and flipper in Washington, D.C. I became a general contractor. And so I was very into really adding value to existing spaces and helping people to just understand how that could be a viable solution for them in ways of creating financial freedom. And transition into the owner of a hemp farm in 2019 is when we became licensed through the USDA program. And that was really because I began to experience my own challenges with anxiety post the transition of my father. I started to really become very challenged with anxiety and just not really performing according to my standard coming out of corporate America, and had a pretty successful run in corporate, and then also being in a very expensive market from a real estate investing perspective and wanting to stay on my toes. I was finding that I was fighting through some anxiety and just wanted some more plant-based ways to approach it. And fortunately, I was in Maryland, which was medicinally legal at the time. And so with medicinal cannabis being an option, I was able to understand and begin to be taught and educated about the power of CBD and other cannabinoids that were helpful in helping individuals overcome anxiety, such as myself, and other, ailments that I was mentally struggling with. And so I became a huge advocate, a huge enthusiast in the space. And upon relocating to North Carolina, I was married to my husband last year. And I moved here a couple of years prior. And I realized that there was an opportunity to enter into this industry, but from, as you mentioned, a different path, one that's not oftentimes considered synonymous with cannabis, but very much so is consistent in terms of the biology and what we're dealing with and the way in which we're able to help people. We're excited that we are able to be a part of this space. So I kind of transitioned my real estate hat into a cannabis entrepreneur hat in launching the farm and creating a successful six-figure e-commerce brand, and really creating opportunities for other people to have employment and provide benefits to our team so that they're able to really understand the power that can be held in this cannabis space.
Yeah, of course. So my first question would be, what were the differences that you experienced transitioning from a really mature industry such as real estate, which has been around for hundreds of years, obviously, into a brand new legal, federally legalized hemp industry? Like, what was kind of that culture shock, if any, for you?
The culture shock was that there was no culture, right? Well, the culture shock is that there was no structure. There's always been a culture. This culture is what brought it to the mainstream. Frankly, I think that where there was a culture shock is how many industries weren't ready to have conversations with business owners that were very dedicated in this federally legal space. You know, we grow industrial hemp with WH Farms, and our industrial hemp passes all federal requirements, but yet we aren't able to bank at every bank. We aren't able to process transactions with every merchant processor. And so I think that coming from something that's a lot more pre-established, like real estate, where the industry support real estate. So real estate is a great industry to be in because how well supported it is from the banking industry, from the lending institutions, and all of these various infrastructures that are set up so that this industry could grow. This hemp industry, or the cannabis industry in general, just doesn't have that level of support today. And so I think that probably was the biggest culture shock, is that the structure wasn't there, but certainly rich with culture. And we were happy to contribute to the culture and even introduce people who had never consumed cannabis before to our company through some of our topical products, some of our wellness products, so that they can understand the benefit of the plant.
Okay. And my next question would be, you coming from being a real estate professional, a very accomplished and notable one at that, going into something that's pretty much agriculture, right? You know, you have your instances of marketing, advertising, you know, consumer awareness, but you know, hemp and cannabis at its core is a crop. So like what was the learning curve you had to go through to become as proficient as you are now?
Well, we have a phenomenal team, and I will say that I had familiarity. I am a student before I am a professional. Anything, I'm a professional student. So I'd been studying the cannabis plant for a number of years, and I had visited various grow facilities, both on the West Coast and some on the East Coast, indoor and outdoor. I was able to get an understanding of the sensitivity of the plant and how it needed to be protected in various environments in order to provide the greatest yield that it could provide. So I had already started the research and the understanding. I mean, I would say probably from even as early as 2006, 2007, I was visiting the West Coast, getting a chance to really understand what growers were facing, how they were able to sell to different dispensaries, like just what the process was like. And so for me, what I understood being a general contractor and having the experience of developing and flipping houses is that you have to assemble a great team. And that's the first thing that I did. Once I was able to identify the quality of plant that I wanted to provide, and moreover, the solution that I wanted our company to solve, I understood that there's a core competency that I didn't have. I'm not a farmer, although I was a member of the Future Farmers of America in high school. I think it's pretty it's crazy that I actually have a farm now. But what I love about the farm and our team is that we have great farmers that have a lot of experience. They've been trained. They get a lot of support on how to really grow the cannabis plant, different cultivars, and how they can provide a quality crop or product to the consumer. So that, I think, studying the lay of the land, getting to know from other experts how they were growing their plant, understanding the climate in Eastern North Carolina, where we grow our hemp is actually land that where the Tuscarora Indians before English settlement were growing hemp. It was considered one of the world's hemp capitals in Eastern North Carolina. So just kind of getting reacclimated to the ground and learning from the growers who own large farms in that area, like how the crop would work, and just really being educated and making sure the team was educating and positioning our individuals to be able to be as successful in their roles as possible. So that, I think, was the biggest learning curve, was just really understanding the difference, but just assembling a team to be able to produce what was necessary for the company.
Okay. And then you spoke at length about, the agriculture, the what the responsibility and requirement from that, but also once you have your crop successfully, which is a task in and of itself, you have to now package it, market it, and sell it
Yeah.
consistently, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about, your brand? And then also, I know you, following that, how you now have launched like a white labeling service so more Black entrepreneurs can come into it from a retail perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. As a business owner, as a businesswoman, my mission has been the same with any business that I've ever created, and that's to empower and to mobilize others to find and reach financial freedom. I think that that is the benefit of business. It's like being a marketplace minister. What is it that you can bring to the marketplace? Opportunity. That's what we all should want to provide the marketplace. And so, for when I decided to become a grower in this space, I wanted people to feel what I felt with CBD. I wanted them to have an opportunity to really know that there were alternatives, especially for, coming out of corporate real estate, working 80 plus hours a week in corporate America as an African American woman. A lot of us were burnt out. A lot of us are burnt out. There are a lot of men and women who are very disconnected from their childlike self because they have been so drained by professional requirements and they don't have an outlet. And so for me, CBD was an outlet. It was a safe and it was a plant-based outlet for me that we wanted to provide to others. As a grower, we've had a number of losses. We actually had to burn an acre because had an acre to run hot, which means that it had higher THC levels than the state allowed. And so we understand the process, right? You're shaking your head. I shook my head too. I was just like, there's nothing that we can do with it, but they literally make you burn it on the spot. But we've suffered our blows. We've had to really throw things against the wall, and we've swallowed our lumps, which is what I love about building a company and being in startup phase. You get a chance to really test different, products and test different models to see what works. And so as we transition out of our growing season and we developed an understanding of how to grow and how to protect our crops, our next, and it was really my initial intention, but our next intention was to really execute a sales strategy so that we were able to not just have a farm with crop and with produce or additional hemp that we could turn into a number of things, but rather we had a problem that we were solving and an audience to whom we could provide that solution. And I think that to your question, how was it creating the marketing side and just executing the sales side? I would say that we first had to identify who we wanted to be as a brand. As a brand, we understood that although as an African American woman owning a farm, offering legacy farmers an opportunity to grow and scale, monetize their land, as well as creating phenomenal quality CBD around for consumers around the country, what exactly did the brand WH Farms mean? And we wanted the brand to mean opportunity. And so that's the reason why we started in the industry. Our first product was actually our CBD business launch kit, which I happen to have right here. But this kit was our first product because every farm has hemp and every farm had CBD, but not every farm had a white label solution for people who wanted to get in the game. And I know many of my family members, friends, colleagues who can cook well, who can make great hair products, who can do all of these great things. They may already be massage therapists. They may already be caterers. How much more could the value of their products increase with the additional product CBD infused inside of their product or their service? And so we wanted to provide that as a solution, a way for individuals to get inside of the CBD market, to jump in the game, and to be able to grow as this emerging cannabis market grew and exploded. And I think that because we identified our brand niche is to be a problem solver, to really come in with a solution to help introduce people to the CBD market, to jump in, start their own CBD infused product line, that helped us to create a marketing plan that we're really proud of, because we know that we've helped multiple dozens companies launch their CBD infused product line. We're receiving the testimonials from their customers about how they're sleeping better at night, how their sex drive has improved, how their skin is improving from a variety of products that's coming from the hemp derived CBD from our farm. And so I think that, for any farm, I would say that before you just establish the final moment to be, okay, we know that we're selling this particular product or we're growing this particular crop. I think that it's very important to identify the brand and what type of problem your brand will solve, and who are the people that need your brand solution, and really tapping into those various spaces and creating a unique niche. And that's something that I believe that we've done. I don't know of any other farm that's really positioning themselves to just be that entry point for a person that wants to, let's say, buy 10 pounds of flour so they can turn it into a phenomenal product in their kitchen. We want people to come to us and not feel any scrutiny. We want to provide them with high quality education. We actually have a masterminds where we expose them to industry professionals. We have meetups where we take them to industry events so that we can make sure that they understand that this is a business that's growing, and our farm wants to make sure that you're properly positioned.
Okay. And I want to, because you know, and I know this, but for our viewers, could you kind of describe the difference in cost like that you're offering to start from where you're able to get an entrepreneur at to what you had to pay to get to this
Yeah,
point, or
yeah,
like trying to
absolutely.
start from the ground up?
Absolutely. So WH Farms, again, is WH Farms on social media. Instagram is a farm based out of Eastern North Carolina. And we, as I mentioned, provide white label solutions for business owners interested in launching a CBD infused product line. For those of us who decided to venture into this industry, there are multiple ways, but most of us have come either through a dispensary or a farm. We either cultivate or we have a retail space. Retail spaces in some states like Pennsylvania could be as high as $200,000. We've heard in California that there's a $10,000 application for retail, and also to cultivate. In the state of North Carolina, we spent over $20,000 to be able to launch our farm and to really participate in this space. So it ranges depending on which jurisdiction that you're in and what those costs are. But we're able to offer opportunities for people to launch their own CBD infused product line for less than $3,000. Some of our kits that include our high quality distillate extract or other extracts. You can make thousands of products from the comfort of your home or lab. That's less than $3,000. We even white label, as you mentioned. We have a body care line, bath bombs and scrubs and things like that, as well as tinctures and gummies. And those products, some of them are less than $1,000 to get started with the white labeling line. And that's the reason why we created this solution. I have always been one to want to simplify processes that most would like to make complicated to keep people out. Like, I am so anti-elitism, right? Like, where we just are, creating extra layers of confusion because we don't want other people to participate. No, we want you to participate. We want you to have a product line. We want you to see that every CVS that you go into, every Harris Teeter that you walk into, you see CBD everywhere. And if you can create opportunities to distribute a high quality product so that you can land on a retail market or you could be in an e-commerce space, then why not? And why wouldn't we want our community? We talk about social equity. And I believe, and I'm so grateful to be a participant in a number of phenomenal organizations, and we are oftentimes rallying and advocating for social equity. But WH Farms also believes that this is a form of social equity, where we're showing people that, hey, it's our community that where our fathers and our brothers and our sons and our uncles really were those who ran the risk to expose the world to what this plant could do. Now it's time for us to legitimately own space and take up space in this industry. And this farm wants to help you do it so that we can be a part of the legal growth of the cannabis market.
Okay. And my last question I have for you, before I let you go, what's the difference in operating on the East Coast versus on the West Coast? Because on the West Coast, it's more, culture, entertainment driven for cannabis. Whereas I feel like on the East Coast in cannabis and CBD, it's more like health, wellness, depression, anxiety, things like that. So even as a marketer, kind of how did you have to reposition yourself to operate in North Carolina as a company?
Yeah, well, I'm a North Carolinian. So I think that I understand that, for most of the southern states, the southeastern region. It's called the Bible Belt for a reason, right? And so, with that said, I think that that's why we take on such a huge stance on destigmatization. I think that even those who are most entrenched in the Bible Belt culture are open to alternative ways to create relaxation. After COVID, everyone wants to relax. And so we focused on the universal theme, which was relaxation. CBD, unlike THC, doesn't have the psychoactive qualities, so it doesn't provide that highness. All of our products, again, are hemp derived, so it can't ever provide any sort of psychoactive benefits. We've always maintained a separation from trendier type of products that are not quite hemp derived, like Delta 8s, Delta 10s, because we want to maintain a continuity with what the government has allowed. We want to be a good model of success for other cannabis brands and CBD brands, especially e-commerce brands. And so I think we just really stay entrenched in the wellness space, in relaxation, and try to create universal themes that we feel, regardless of where a person is located, that they can really connect to. And we know that post-COVID, everyone can connect to relaxing.
Okay, and I agree with everything that you said, and I love, having like-minded people on, so you can say what I think without me just having a rant. So I definitely appreciate it and agree with your perspective entirely. To end it, where can our viewers, reach you or your company, if they have any questions or interest in coming into our space?
Absolutely. So you can definitely find us online at whfarms.co. You can find us on Instagram at whfarmsco, as well as Facebook. And we often, actually each Friday, we go live on YouTube as well, WH Farms Co. everywhere over the internet, so that you're able to just follow us. My page on Instagram is Q Nicole McNair. And we're excited to just continue to educate. We have free workshops often to share with people just more information about how innocent the plant is. I tell people all the time, cannabis has to be freed and made innocent because she's so valuable to so many people. And it's time that we really allow society to choose how they want to engage in their healing process.
Okay, thank you so much, Q. I look forward to your story and your continued progress. It's an honor to have a conversation with you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for having me.